everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Mandala Effect. I am absolutely thrilled to have a guest with me. My guest is Dr. Rose Lawrence, who is known as the Fairytale Doctor among her clients, people she's worked with, and she has an incredible YouTube channel called The Rosy Life, which is actually how I came across her work, and I was very intrigued. So I reached out to her and invited her on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Like you said, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a fun conversation. We'll see where it goes.
Yes.
So Dr. Rose, do you like being called Dr. Rose, or do you prefer Rose?
Just Rose.
Just Rose. We don't
Yes.
need to make it formal.
No.
But Rose is a former psychotherapist, which I find fascinating. And you chose to go into the work of being a life coach and a YouTuber and speaker and all of the other things. And I'm assuming there's a story behind that, and which we'll dig into. But I'll hand it over to you to tell our audience just who you are.
So it's funny because we'll get right to it, right? And this something that I'm actually writing in a book right now of how I came into being a YouTuber and where the Rosy Life even came from. Because as you said, I was a former psychotherapist and really successful at it, had a couple practices in different states, and it was great. And I really enjoyed helping others. However, a little backstory on even me being a psychotherapist is my desire was initially to go to law school. And I wanted to become a lawyer. More specifically, I wanted to be a public defender. And I
Okay.
wanted to be a public defender because I just had this little urge inside of me that there's greatness within me and greatness with others. And I just felt so good when I would see people win court cases, or the little guy didn't have the funds or the representation. And I said, no, I want to go be the best attorney and provide the best legal services to everyone regardless of their income. And that just excited me so much to feel that victory in a courtroom or to represent someone.
Yeah.
And then as I started studying for the LSATs and I started doing the practice exams, my mother passed away. And I had a little one who was only 3 years old at the time. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I took a step back and I said, I don't know if I want to do this because it's going to require a lot of hours out of me as a new attorney.
Mhm.
And I thought, as much as I wanted, I also don't want to miss out on raising my son. So I said, I can have both the best worlds. So then I got into looking for, different career paths where I could still help people. And that's when I came into psychology.
Yeah.
And that felt like the answer. And even though I did that for years and I loved it and it was fun and yeah, like I said, I was really good at it, it wasn't still giving me that oomph of that victory feeling that
Yeah.
I was looking for. And then I came across the law of attraction initially. And then that became my personal awakening. And
Mhm.
then I said, you know what, this isn't doing it, but the therapy wasn't doing it for me. And then I came across the law and I said, there's nothing that can top this. This You can't get any more victorious than waking up and realizing that you're the cause of it all. And that's just like at the top. And so that's where the Rosy Life began. And that's where it is I get to, share worldwide with people about their power, their truth within them, and that everything they want, everything they would love to have or be, it's within them. And that's the ultimate victory.
And that's how everyone gets to live a rosy life.
Yes. Or their rosy life.
Their rosy life. But
Yes.
I mean, I know it's not that simple, and you know it's not that simple. I mean, I I've actually had this conversation quite a lot this week in particular. Like, my awakening into this world of we create our own reality was not easy. Um, what was yours like? Did you experience anything, kind of any adversity that kind of shook you and
Well, I think that everybody has something that draws them to the law, and a lot of it's the typical stuff, either relationships, financial, or health. Those are the top three that
Hmm.
usually draw people into discovering deeper who they are and why is this happening to me. And so I think everyone has some kind of pivotal moment that they want more questions answered, and they're seeking for an easy way or a different lifestyle. And that's what happened with me too. And
Hmm.
that period, was it fun? No, because I didn't see that I who I really was.
Yeah.
So anytime we're in our limited mind and we're going to experience limitation, that we're going to feel like it's dark and difficult. But once you see that who you really are, the difficulty's gone
Hmm.
instantly. It's not a journey. It doesn't happen over a long time. And that's what I discovered myself, because I didn't have any coaches or people, or I didn't know anything about podcasts or YouTube channels that talked about this. And I just really, it was from the inside out that I
Hmm.
started to awaken. And then I came across different information like Neville Goddard, Wayne Dyer, Joseph Murphy, all these spiritual teachers. And I just started learning more on my own about the truth of who I am.
Hmm.
Um, once you do that, it's actually, and that's what I do, is I take that seeming difficulty and I make it easy,
Yeah.
and that it's not a journey, it's actually a choice, and it's instant.
Yeah. Yeah. That choice, that decision, the decision to, because I believe that everybody's searching for something, but and everyone's seeking something, and we're all sort of seeking the same thing, like you said, to
Yeah.
discover the truth of who we are. But we are programmed to, oh, look over here, like don't look within here, because it can be really painful. And I love that you highlighted that it's that pain is just because you don't know, and then we make a decision, and the path can be shown to us.
Yes, even as a therapist, it was the focus was constantly like on symptoms and how do I deal with these feelings and cope with these problems and cope with these, labels, and people that had been diagnosed with different things for years, and they would sit in on my couch and we would talk about, like, well, do you like this? No, and they thought they were stuck with it. And I'm like, we're not stuck with anything.
Hmm.
And it's the shift in your realization that your thoughts are manifestations of your assumptions of who you are, and
Hmm.
your feelings are manifestations of your thoughts. And once you get that, it becomes very easy, and you start seeing what you were putting up with for so
Hmm.
long.
Yeah. Yep, I'm with you there. On your website, you have, on your About Me bit, you've got, in search of wanting a wonderful life for myself, I found the key to it all.
Mhm.
So I know that everybody wants to know what the key is.
Yes. The key is that you, me, all of us, we're the cause of it all.
Hmm.
That we live an assumptive life. We're in an assumptive world. And the key is going within, that there's nothing outside of us. There's nothing out there. Even the scientist John Wheeler talked about there's no out there out there. There's so many teachers that talk about there's nothing outside of you. And we want to blame and point the finger and
Hmm.
say that's the reason I'm not this, they're the reason I'm not this, or where I was raised is the reason why I don't have this and I'll never have it. This is how we're all conditioned to look outside of ourselves, and something's responsible. But the key is that was always you all along, kind of like Dorothy. The power was within you all along in Wizard of Oz, right? And that's the key, is that what you perceive, what you assume, is the only thing you have privy to experiencing in your own life.
Hmm. Yeah, yep, yep. Okay, so if you have somebody come to you with, who is going through this dark night of the soul, they are really in the depths of it, they don't know what to do, they're blaming their external, they've experienced something, how would you introduce them to this idea that they are the cause of it all?
Well, the number one thing is to test it.
Hmm.
Because I never say test me, the speaker, or test a teacher. I say test the law itself. And the law that I'm referring to is a law of assumption. And that's a Neville Goddard approach and what he talked about quite a bit. But that goes even deeper. It goes back to all scriptures, Buddhism, Taoism, the
Yeah.
Bible. All these are not religious books, and they've been taught as religion. And I get it. And even I was raised religious, and I kind of shied away from all of that for
Mm.
many, many years. And until I really, really was introduced that any scripture of any quote religion is all pointing to the one truth, that it's hidden within us, that
Mm.
what we desire is hidden within us. And to test it experientially is the only way that you'll ever see your own personal truth. And just to believe someone else, a speaker, a book, or an author, do this course, you're not going to get very far because you're not seeing it within you. So, testing it within, in other words, making a decision, anything, like if you're just feeling like every day is dark and every day is depressing, or you just can't get out of a mood. I just worked with a lady yesterday and she said, I've been in this mood and I can't get out of it. Nothing I do, nothing I say, nothing I think. It's just, I'm stuck in this mood and I don't like it.
Hmm.
And by the end of the session, of course, I knew she'd be out of that mood because she just wasn't seeing the story she kept telling herself. And the
Yeah.
story she kept telling herself was that no matter what I do, I can't get out of this mood.
Yeah.
So you can affirm you're happy all day long and that you feel good, or that you're wealthy, or that you are loved. But if your story is no matter what I do, I can't get out of this mood,
Hmm.
that story will dominate anything, no matter in all your attempts, will
Hmm.
be so exhausting. So it's really about the story that you tell yourself. And that's really what I listen to with my clients is, what story are you telling yourself? Because
Yeah.
that's really going to trump it all.
Yep. I've yep. Fantastic. There's a couple of things that I've picked up in that. Um, and one is you said don't just read the books, just do the courses. You have to feel it, you have to test it within you. You have to, and this is how we learn to embody, isn't it? Because a few years ago where I was I was reading The Secret. I was doing the Tony Robbins seminars. I was going to the courses, reading the books, and maybe watching stuff on YouTube, but what I was missing was doing the thing
Yeah,
and
actually
changing the
being it. Yeah.
being it, because it's so easy to run to the book, run to the YouTube channel, run to the I have the teachers that I follow on YouTube and the books that I've read. I mean, I love Neville Goddard um and all of these kind of, especially the older ones like James Allen, the really old, really, really old books that keep on being regurgitated now as we as people rewrite them in their own way. But um, it's so easy to reach for a book and think that it's going to give you the answer that you're looking for, which it can, but unless you're going to put any of it into action, it's not going to do anything. It's like, and depending on your beliefs as well, because it's like taking the pill, right? You can take a pill for whatever symptom you've got, but it goes deeper than that.
Yes, because it's all mind. Even pills or anything like that is just in the mind. It's your belief in them, if they
Hmm.
work or not.
Hmm.
And same with anything. And action, a lot of people are used to taking action. And so it's just feels logical that you read a book and you watch a video and then you think that that's going to give you some results, or you're going to something magical is going to happen. And it is happening within you when you're reading and learning and becoming more aware of who you are. However, the true action is within the mind. It's not even what you're doing. It's nothing to do with do something.
Hmm.
Even testing it is all done within the mind. Is
Hmm.
you're moving your awareness to a different state of being, of
Hmm.
whatever you decide you want to experience in your unlimited. And I think that the foundation is understanding that you are a unlimited being.
Mhm.
And because if you're operating from a limited state of mind, and that you think that you can only do so much as a human, and you're just human, like these quotes, right? You're like, well,
Mhm.
I'm human. No, you're not. You're unlimited, and there are no rules, there are no conditions, only the ones that you self-impose on yourself
Mhm.
unknowingly or knowingly. And as you become aware, you start releasing these limitations and conditions that you knowingly or unknowingly set upon
Mhm.
yourself. And that's the truth that they talk about that sets you free.
Yeah, that is the truth that sets you free. So, this person who is in this dark, depressed state, and you've told them to test it. So let's test the law, and test within yourself. How can they start testing? How can they, where where would you suggest that they start with this?
I would question, why do you believe there is a dark night of the soul? Question everything.
Oh, that is such a big question.
Why do you even think that exists? Do you see? Because that's a belief and an assumption of itself.
I know.
So
Oh,
if there's only love, and if there's only God, which there is, and there's only, or if you want to call it that universal power
mm,
or that energy, right? Whatever you call it, because honestly, that power doesn't care. I always say this power within us is like electricity. It doesn't care if you plug in a Tesla or a toaster. It listens to you and it does what you would love. It's unconditional love. It'll always say yes to you.
mhm,
And you understanding that who we really are is love, is that divine I am God within,
mm,
and there is no other. Well, there is no other, that's a scripture, right? There is no other means, that means there's no dark night of the soul, there's only love. So believing that there's something that could be opposing your happiness, your joy, like a dark night, think about even the word, right? It's like,
mm,
well, where's the white knight? So that's just assuming that there is knights out
yeah,
there, something or someone that can save you, and and it's all within you.
yeah.
And I think it was Ernest Holmes in Science of the Mind. He talked about the joke of the gods. I don't know if you've heard this already. About they kind of said about the power within us, and they said, well, the gods sat around and said, okay, well, where do we hide this power of man? And one god said, oh, I know, we'll hide it under the depths of the ocean. And then another god said, no, 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 they're too smart, they're going to find it there, they'll figure it out somehow, some way, they're going to get to it, they'll build stuff and somehow get down there. And another said, okay, okay, how about we hide it in the air? And then they said, no, 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 they're going to figure it out, because even though it's invisible, they're going to figure out how to make it seen, they'll come upon it. And then another one said, I know, let's hide it deep within them,
Mm.
they'll never look there.
No, and we
Yes.
don't until we have that inner calling, that inner voice that says, "Oh, go this way," whatever, and it leads us within. But we are programmed to believe that everything is outside of us. So, and to, like we touched on, look over here, look at this shiny thing, look at this shiny thing. And we're
Yes.
programmed to believe every day that we're just human and we're not worthy. And maybe even that there is no dark night of the soul, which is fascinating concept, because some of the psychology that I've looked into, speaks about the dark night of the soul, and as part of your spiritual awakening, and the journey that we go on, and the hero's journey. And I mean,
Yeah, I've read all I've
yeah,
yeah, I've read all that, and I get it, right? Because we think that we have to work our way through or heal ourselves through some karmic ties, or there's always something that, oh, we got to heal something or fix something, and then we have to release it, and on one day then we'll be free from it. The problem with journeys, and I actually made a video dedicated just to that, is the problem with journeys is, how do you know you ever get there?
yeah,
when do you arrive?
Hmm.
And so there is no destination. You never arrive. So if you're always on a healing journey, when exactly are you healed, and how do you know?
That's so interesting because of my own healing journey. So I had cancer 2 years ago, and I healed from I went on a healing journey to heal from cancer. But when does the healing journey end? With chemo, with surgery, because it took me physically a lot longer to heal than that. And is the journey really ended? Because it's still in some way, I totally see that,
Yeah.
just kind of
And
the
then if
split
and then
between.
if you're healing, and then okay, now that's gone. Now you're still gonna identify yourself as I was sick. So
Yeah.
you're forever in that keeping on top of being healthy, and whether it's emotional, physical, or whatever, mentally, you're always feeling like there's something that you have to keep on top of or remain healed from, right? And it's never ending, and
Mm,
it's constantly like trying to keep yourself aligned in a check so this thing never happens again. Do you see? So there's a little fear there that remains.
yeah.
And when you rise above it, and that is what metaphysical is
Mhm,
beyond the physical realm of things. When you rise above into the awareness, the highest level of awareness, that you are that one with the all, that is untouched. You know, we're all that perfect divine idea in God's mind,
mhm,
and we are untouched by anything. And all any limitation is an idea in the mind, and
mhm,
that it is not aligned with your true nature, with your perfection of your divine self. So it's everything. The more that we align with who we truly are, the faster we're releasing these limitations and needs to heal and fix ourselves. And the worthiness, that's a big one too. That's probably the most common one, of people not
mhm,
feeling good enough or worthy. And that's probably the biggest lie of them all. That's the
mhm,
belief in the separation from who you really are, that I am.
mhm. So why do you think that we're here on this? Why do you think we're having this human experience?
Have fun. We're here to express. We're here to express love, because there's only love. And that's who we are. We are divine images created in the image of God, and we are here with all power within
Mhm,
us to continue expressing. And I know there's several teachers that have said this, so I can't even attribute it to one because I've heard it so many
yeah.
times. But love without expression is not love. So love continuously seeks to express itself.
Mhm,
The little thing with that of love is that people refer to love as good and bad. That's not love. That's not love. This is love. I'm not talking about human love, feeling wise. What I refer to is that unconditional love. For love to be unconditional, it cannot set any rules or limitations on you. That is, we are given free will to express and manifest and create a life that we want to. And that has to include whatever seemingly bad or good that a human judges as good or bad, because divine love only sees perfect love.
mhm,
There's no judgment. Otherwise, it couldn't be unconditional.
mhm. Do you think that we as humans are capable of unconditional love?
That's who you are. That's
That's
who
who
we
we
are.
are. So
That's who
while we're still attached to the mind and living in this limitation of the mind, do you think there can be unconditional love?
Yes. It's you can't it's almost like saying, "I'm gonna peel my skin off." You can't you
As
can't
much as I want to get rid of my mind sometimes.
yeah, you can't separate yourself from who you truly are. It's in your breath.
Yeah.
It's as you speak and you breathe, that you're breathing unconditional love. What's peering through your eyes, looking at me, is unconditional love. It's in you. It's just your belief in limits and problems
Mhm,
and judgment of what's good and bad is why you become less aware of it.
mhm,
So you can become less aware of it, but it never leaves you.
So how does somebody stop believing in this limitation and stop judging the good or the bad? Because it's like
Yeah.
human nature, again, another belief that
Yeah,
we
I love it. A Course in Miracles has a very simple quote, and I love it. And it says, "I could see peace instead of this."
yeah.
Remembering we have a choice always. We think that we don't have a choice, that things are fixed and concrete and solid and factual. There are no facts, there is no fiction, and there's nothing concrete. Everything is your belief, your assumption pushed out of you. And so, if, and I love that quote, I could see peace instead of this, I could see love instead of this. I just spoke to another client yesterday too, and she also mentioned this and said, and she said, well, it's hard because I wake up alone, I go to sleep alone, I eat dinner alone, and I want to be with someone. And I said, "Well, you're looking at all of those things as awful and trying to avoid them and run away and hoping for one day to be with someone." And I said, "You're avoiding and resisting what is." And I said, "What is love." And I said, "You can choose to see love when you shop, when you go to sleep. You can choose to see those feelings that you're having as love, because when you remember there's only love, even the feelings of sadness and
Mhm,
anxiousness or worry, underneath that, it's all love,
mhm,
but it is filtered through your personal beliefs of what's good and bad. So you're always experiencing love no matter what. It's just we have the free will to hi kitty. We have that free will to choose. And as humans, we judge.
mhm.
And we can only experience whatever we believe or assume or label, right? Label's another one. What
Yeah,
is good? What's bad? That's the root of what's good and what's bad. That's, again, that's you judging.
yeah, and it's like, it's just this. I mean, I can't remember the first day that I ever judged something, but we do. It's part of the survival instinct, isn't it, of how humans seem to have come so far. But then this is a question that I often ask myself. So we have the survival instinct that has helped the human race evolve and evolve as we have. But say we didn't have that survival instinct and the whole collective just realized their unconditional love, what do you think the world would look like?
Amazing. Amazing, because even as you're saying that, I get the whole survival instinct, because like I learned all this stuff, and
Yeah.
I taught this stuff.
Hmm.
So I get it. Like that survival instinct, what that is, AKA the ego. And
Yeah.
the ego is the one that feels like it needs to survive and protect itself and put boundaries up and avoid toxic people and label all these things to protect yourself from being hurt and or being used or all of these things. And so that survive even that idea of survival is what keeps people paranoid and fear and in their homes and not wanting to change jobs or move cities or date a new person. Or there's all these everything's labeled under the guise of need to survive.
Hmm.
And that's one of the biggest lies, is that survival is just an idea. Because
Yeah.
when you know who you are, that you are that great I am, nothing can harm you.
No.
Nothing
No.
can, and you're never lacking. You'll never lack money, you'll never lack love, you'll never lack health. You were never lacking anything to begin with.
Hmm. And that is one thing that I wish all children were told, and start that programming early, that you are not lacking anything, you are perfect, you are worthy. Just because you are breathing, you are here.
Yeah.
um
Kids
and
know it more than adults do, actually.
Yeah.
They're instinctually like laughing and enjoying life, and they're that's the scriptures say, be have that faith like a child and be childlike. And that's what we're really returning to, is remembering that we're kids
Mhm.
eternally. You know,
Well, doesn't that sound like fun?
yes, but that's all that we were ever meant to be, is to be eternally young. I ask
Mhm.
people all the time, especially people that are older, and they say, "Well, I'm running out of time. I'm this age, and it's too late." And I said, "Well, how?" I said, first of all, there's two beliefs there. One is the belief in time, and the other one I ask it just to be kind of have fun. And I say, "How old do you think that God is?" And they're, "Oh, ageless." And I said, "Well, and God's in you. That's who you are within you. That means you're ageless. So what are you counting numbers for?"
I mean, that's great. I'll tell my mum that one. Mum, stop counting numbers. Stop
Yeah,
counting the
and
wrinkles.
yes, no one, and when you understand there's only now,
Yeah,
no one has a future.
yeah. Well, and
No,
that's interesting because you mentioned time. So we
yeah,
have a belief in time. Time is a construct. So,
yeah.
so maybe let's speak to that a little bit. This there that time is not does not exist.
It doesn't. And time was just part of the separation. It's like, oh, this is a girl, this is a boy, this is a cat. But now under the cat, there's like 159,000 species of cats. So we keep chopping it up and separating, chopping it up, and separate. Oh, here's an apple. Oh, no, now it's not just an apple. Now we have a green apple, red apple, a pink apple, and a Fuji apple, and a crisp apple. It's like that's what humans do. They like to chop, separate, and label, and that's easier for them to categorize, to say, well, this is where I fit in. And as
Mm,
people, we do that too, and that's time. We have months, days, weeks, hours, minutes, seconds. How many seconds go into a minute? How many minutes go into, do you see, we keep
mm,
trying to separate, chop, so we can elusively control things,
mhm,
and then we identify with the labels that we make.
mhm,
And time is just another one of those constructs, is that
mhm,
it's not divine. Really, we're eternal beings,
mhm,
and none of us were even made to wither and die or age or become ill. And so the more that you're aware of who you really are, you start letting go of these ideas. There's no past, there's no future. No one has a future.
mm,
That sounds funny, right? But no one has a future and no one has a past. And if you're 5, 50, or 100, all three of those people have the same amount of time now.
mhm,
There's nothing outside of now. So it doesn't matter how old or young or anything, because there's only ever going to be now. You
mhm,
can't, you can only access the past from now in your mind. When
mhm,
I worked with trauma with clients that experience a lot of trauma, I I even taught them this, and I said, "Well, I know you said that's your story. I get it. When you think of it, it feels awful." I said, "But what if you just told yourself a different story about it now?" They're like, "Well, that would be lying to myself." And I said, "Well, would you rather believe the new story and think of the new story, or would you rather continue telling the what you said is factual story?" I said, "Which one do you think is going to help you?" "Well, I'm going to accept the factual story, and I'm going to just make it a part of my identity, and eventually I'll heal from it." And I said, "Yes, and it'll affect all your relationships, your job, your finances, everything, because you're always going to feel like there's this blemish on you that you have to work around."
mm,
And and when they finally got that, and they said, "Well, what if I tell myself a news story?" And it's easy to do it. It's a lot easier than people think. You tell a new story, and the funny thing is that all my clients began to feel better, and they were out of therapy fast.
mhm,
And because not only were they changing the story from what they thought was the past, but they're now changing their present and their future,
mhm,
because we can do that. The mind believes whatever you feed it. It will believe anything you tell it. And so whether you want to hold on to a painful past or you want to tell yourself a new story, that is up to you. It is a choice.
Yep, and I'm just taking it in because I totally agree. And one of the biggest stories that I see people tell themselves, and one of my favorite topics is around money,
Mhm.
because the human thinks that, the ego thinks it needs money in order to survive, in order to be safe, whatever. Spin your story on it. And one of your most popular videos on YouTube, or I think it might be the most popular video that you have on YouTube, is um, manifesting money in no time at all. Like, do you want to
Mhm.
talk to that a little bit?
Oh yeah. Oh, I know what video you're talking about. Yeah, it's how I manifest money without working for it.
That's the one.
Yeah, and yeah, that became very popular. Actually, it just happened a month ago. I made that video a year ago, and it just skyrocketed about a month ago, and that was a manifestation as well. And I didn't think that was gonna. I didn't choose that
Yeah.
to, but it did. It was just a how. My higher self saw that, like, okay, she's saying, I remember when the Rosie life blew up, and let's do it. I didn't care how, but it did. And so, yeah, so that video though, I love that video because uh the comments for me are everything. I think there's over 1,000 comments on that video right now. And most of them are success stories of
Yeah. Wow.
people confirming what I say in the video, and that your mind is the only thing that you have to change. That the way that you speak about money, your beliefs about money, that it's hard, that you have to work for it, that you have to earn it, that others were just given it. And you so we have all these like good beliefs, bad beliefs about money, and then we sit around and wonder where the money is. And but once you change those beliefs, it's very easy. I can't even tell you the amount of success stories that I have from that one video. People still to this day are emailing me saying, I watched your video one time, and as I was watching it, someone gave me $100. Another person found a gold Rolex in a rental car. I mean, it's story after story after story of people saying, I just watched it, or I did
Mhm.
what you said in the video. I changed. And really it's not the video, it's what they were able to realize within them, what they kept telling themselves personally, because everybody has their own story about money, and they shifted and said, what, I totally believe that, or I just have to say that I have money, or all of the and all those stories, that's all that is you being aware. It's creating awareness in what you say to yourself, and awareness that you are this infinite being,
Mhm.
that no one ever closed the door on you, that no one ever said no to you, that it was just you believing with either the mass conscious beliefs about money, that it's difficult, that it's hard, and all the only certain percentage of the world has all the money, and there's one pot and they're taking it all. There's just so many mass conscious beliefs. Then you have your personal beliefs from your family that raised you, and then your personal experience of working, or your interactions with money. But truly, when you see who you are abundance itself. You are connected to infinite abundance. So there are no limitations. They're just you. And one of those is worthiness, is feeling like you're
Mhm.
not good enough or not worthy of it. And it's kind of a sneaky one that comes in with the money too. Right. But once you let go of that, and just simply letting go is just seeing that you're holding on to it. Once you see it, it's dissolved. You don't have to work at it to let it go.
Mhm.
You just become aware of it and it's released.
Yeah. So I guess my question then is around like the subconscious mind and the deeply rooted ones that are running most people's lives, but we're not quite aware of it because we're unconscious of it. It's hidden somewhere deep within. How does somebody start to bring those subconscious beliefs around money, love, health to the surface?
I get that. I get that question. And I used to believe that there was deep rooted subconscious beliefs that I couldn't see and I couldn't find. And then I went on an adventure in a mining adventure, exploration of looking for those. And I'd meditate, I script, I did all kinds of things, programs, trying to look for those deep rooted subconscious belief that those evil things are keeping me from all my good stuff. Right. But the truth is, as I said before, with that, that mythical story about the gods, that the truth
Yeah.
is hidden within you. There, nothing is hidden.
Yeah.
Your life, what you're living, what you see, what you experience, what you're feeling, it's showing you what you're believing. You don't have to go dig. It's literally in front of you. If you are struggling with money, that's your belief. It's not, nothing's hidden from us. If you're struggling with money, if you believe that money comes and then you lose it, if you believe you have to spend more than you receive, do you see, these are the beliefs. If you believe people that have money are evil, or that money is materialistic, or that you have to be humble, or that your beliefs are right in your face. You
Mhm.
don't have to, they're not hidden. They're not
Yeah.
in the deep parts of your soul or subconscious mind. And I get that because a lot of people teach that. And I used to believe that too. But that just leaves you in a trap of rabbit hole after rabbit hole of seeking what else is there that I can't see. And it just keeps going and going and it feels exhausting. You're just like, this is never going to end. I give up.
Yeah.
Because what happens is what you seek is seeking you. In other words, if you're aware of something, it's going to come and show you. So if you believe you have deep rooted subconscious beliefs, you just manifested that. And the universe, because you are so powerful, will show you evidence and proof that you do have deep rooted subconscious belief, and it will plant them all over you and
Mm.
everywhere around you for you to find them, and you will find an abundance of subconscious beliefs. Oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. Oh, and then you deal with that one and you're just like, okay, cool. And then you deal with it and you notice nothing's changed. Wait, how come nothing's changing in my life? And I keep finding these. I might feel a little better. Something might move a little bit more. Right. But how come I'm still looking and searching? Well, that's because you believe there's something to find.
Yeah. You've just like blown, it just feels like you've opened so many possibilities just with kind of cracking that open, that if we believe that we have deeply rooted subconscious beliefs, deeply rooted limiting beliefs, we're going to
Mhm.
find them. They're going to be there and they're going to rule your life.
Yes, you will
Yeah.
continue to find them because you said so.
Yeah. You've just sort of blown my mind a little bit there. Um, I can't remember. Just see how we are for time. Okay, I have just a couple of questions for you. Um, People who are working towards goals, and they have things that they want to achieve in life. How do you feel about us creating that versus us? I guess the question is, um, creating or being lived. Do you think that we are creating with our beliefs, or do you think that we are being lived and really we don't actually have control over any of it, whether
You
we
ha
use our mind or not?
well, we all have free will.
Yeah,
And we all have free will. We have the same will, that free will of God. In
yeah.
order for us to be created in the image of God, God couldn't have even given us free will because if he gives it, he can take it. So, in order to be truly in the image of God, that includes having free will. It's innate. It's who you are. So you have all that power within you, all the power of God, the universe within you. And what you have is free will to choose, to assume, to think. So it's literally as you speak, as you think, as you assume, either consciously or unconsciously. And what I mean by unconsciously is just you adopted a belief, whether you were 5, 10, or 50, doesn't matter when. And now it's just an automatic assumption.
Mhm.
And you no longer question those. You just think that's just how it is. That's just how it is. right? And nothing is how it is.
Yeah.
And everything is malleable, everything is changeable. And in fact, that's the only thing that is changeless is that infinite source.
Hmm.
Everything else is free game, free will for you to
Hmm.
choose and live how you want.
Amazing. Okay, this has been a wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed every second of it. Um, you've, you've triggered some things for me to go and look at in my own mind. Um, my final question for you that would be, if you could leave one message with the world, with humanity, for them to go and create this life, their dream, wake up to their dream life, what would your message be?
Get curious and question everything.
Yeah.
Get curious and question everything, every thought, every belief, everything that you've been told, everything you see as factual, even stuff like, oh, you can't spot reduce fat. Yes, you can. Question everything, because nothing is fact. Nothing is factual. Everything is open and changeable. And even if a billion people say you're not telling the truth, all of these billion people behind me agree with me, and we have science, evidence, PowerPoint presentations,
Mhm.
videos, documentaries of people talking about this for years, that what you say is inaccurate. I'll still stand there and say, I don't care. That's what you believe, not me,
Yeah.
because I know that I am responsible for my reality, for my world. And I assume and think and choose to believe what I want. And it's all coming from that place of love, that there's only God, there's only love, and there's only good.
Hmm.
And it's all coming from me. And I decide what I do with that power. So I would say question all of it and experience it for yourself.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. I love that. Question everything and get curious. And that's how I started this journey, I guess. I got curious. And
Yeah.
and that's, I think, the joy of this universe is we get to be curious. We get to be the seeker of truth and what our truth is, and finding the truth within us.
Yes. There's only one truth, and it's within us all. And remember them when you want to separate things, that's when we start moving further away from the truth of who we really are, that one cause, that one love. So there's only unity, there's only one.
Amazing. Rose, where can people find you? I'll put all of your links in the description and show notes below, but I would love, where can people find you? How can they work with you? Please take the.
Yeah, well, as you already said, my YouTube channel is The Rosie Life, and I upload pretty regularly on there, and my website is rosielife.com. So, and I'm also on Instagram as a Rosie Life Doc.
Amazing. Well, I'll share everything. I see you have a couple of courses that people can come and learn more and work and learn how they can work with you and stuff. So I'll put some
Yeah.
links in the description. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been so much fun.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Mandala Effect. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform. I greatly appreciate your ongoing support, and the podcast wouldn't be where it is today without you, so thank you. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family, and let's continue spreading the mandala effect of magic and infinite possibilities. See you next week.